In this video, we're going to explore how you can play around with the tooltip, and you can see here what we're trying to do is we want to extract the data set index and the data index here. So we're going to put it in the title of the tooltip, but also in the body. So which are two different methods. So we're going to explore both of them. And as you can see here, it will start to show. And in this case, of course, here, because we have two data in here, it probably will not show everything. However, this is the most important part here, to understand how we can extract these and learn how to do this. So let's start to explore this. In this video, we're going to focus on one of the viewers' questions, which is how to extract the data index of a data set when hover on the tooltip in Chartjs. And this was one of the questions that came from one of my other videos, which was about how to create a custom HTML tooltip from scratch in Chartjs. And if you're interested in that, I would highly recommend you to watch this video. It's a 1.5 hour long video, so it's a quite intensive video. It took me a while to make this, but it goes in detail in absolutely everything. However, if you don't want, but maybe you want to just get the default structure of the tooltip in Chartjs, I will show you exactly how. This is just only for anyone who wants to make their own HTML version of a tooltip. So in here, the question came from Samir Kanal. Hi, how would I be able to get the index of the data in the data set in the Hover tooltip? Alright, so I'm going to show you. First of all, thank you, Samir, for asking the question. And secondly, I assume in your case, you just want to get it from the default tooltip in Chartjs, the one that works out of the box. So if you're planning to get the one with the HTML, I'm going to recommend you to check here one of these chapters. Which one exactly, I don't know, but I assume it's somewhere here, the tooltip trigger. The trigger, and then here, create or get tooltip. This is probably the one, but definitely watch this. I spent a lot of time in this, so that should give you the answer, if ever. However, if you're going to make one just out of the box, I'm going to show you right now how to do that. First of all, what we're going to do here is, I want you to go to chartjs3.com, and here in the Getting Started link, I have here a default structure that I'm going to copy. Let's copy that. I'm going to paste this in here, and once I did that, what I will do is I'm going to cut out the title here, replace this title with the new title. Alright, so once I'm here and I'm going to save this, you will see now immediately we have a default chart, which is a bar chart. So that's quite nice. So what I want to do here, I want to duplicate this, so we have two data sets here, so you can see the differences very soon. So I'm just going to give this a random number, so give it 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And what I will do is I will give it also some different color. So it should be a unique color, or basically this will be the light blue color, and the other one will be the red color. Straightforward, nothing fancy. The goal here is just so you can easily distinguish the two bars. So we have this number of sales. I'm just making it up. And then next here, comma. Let me do this one here as well, comma. And grab this here. I'll just grab this red color. This is probably the red transparent color, which is the background color. Alright. So if I save this now and refresh, oh, there should be a comma here somewhere. Probably I forgot something. Comma here. There you are. This is the one. Make sure you have a comma here. If I save that now, refresh, there we are. So we have two nice charts here, in here. And what we want to do now is start to work with the tooltip. So the tooltip consists of two parts. Basically, you have a title and you have a border as well. And here right now it shows it both. Maybe we should make it a line chart that would make it far more clear. You will see the differences more better because it will get a singular value here. So you can see here, this is exactly what I want. We get the single value here. So now, let's explore the tooltip itself. The tooltip consists of two parts. You have the title part, which is the upper bolded letters, which you can see is in purple, and you have the body part, which is also called the label. And the label consists of the square color, and you have the number of sales plus the value. In this case, number 5. The number of sales is just this label here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab here the data index, because how do we get the data index here in the tooltip? Well, it's quite simple. So let's first of all just do some adjustments here. Remove this so the item is a little bit nicer. Tension, I'll just say 0.4. Alright, so we have a nice line chart here. refresh, there we are. So that looks slightly better. All right, now it's time to work on the tooltip. So what we're going to do in here is we're going to work here in the tooltip. The tooltip is a part of the plugins namespace. So we're going to put in here plugins, and then we say here tooltip. Oh, tooltip, make sure you spell it correctly. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to make a comma, and then I'm going to put in here a tooltip block. And in this tooltip block, the constant will be named tooltip. Alright, this is very important. The reason why I'm going to give this tooltip as a name, because this is a shorthand. This basically says your tooltip equals tooltip constant. And since this is identical, we can use the same name. If this would be tooltip number 2, then this needs to be tooltip 2, and we're not allowed to put a comma here. This shorthand can only be used if the object is the same as the constant. Very important. Else, don't use this. So now we have this here, and then in here we're going to work basically with a few items. What we're going to do here is two things. Let's make it a bit more nicer. I want the tooltip going to push up, or basically the cloud should be up, the tooltip, but the arrow, or this triangle here, which we call a caret, should be pushed to the bottom here down. So it will point down, so the cloud will be here above. Alright, so I'm going to do that one. So that's a Y align. Oh, not in caps lock, but align with letter A capitalized. And then we say here bottom. So that looks just a bit more appealing on the eye. So, and let's see here, tooltip. Alright. The reason why this didn't work here, of course, we have a comma here. Make sure you have a comma here. There we are. So now our tooltip is pointing up. Beautiful. That looks nice. Alright. I'm going to replace the title here. And what I'm going to replace the title here is I'm going to extract the data set, and we're going to extract the data itself, or basically the index number of the data. So to do this, we're going to work with basically not only in the title, but I also will do it eventually in the body, because there's two ways, depending on where you put it, in the title or in the body, it will depend on the code you use. And this was very confusing, but eventually, after some research, I figured out myself as well. So what are you going to do here? Comma. You're going to say your callbacks, because we're going to work with callbacks. And this was a callbacks with the letter S. Sometimes it uses without letter S. If you're not sure, check the documentation. What is the official use? Because it depends on the documentation in Chartjs. Why they have the differences? I don't know. Maybe tooltip has multiple tooltips, so they call it a callbacks because there are multiple tooltips, etc., etc. So it could be a legend. If I'm not mistaken, legend is callback, because there's only one legend, while tooltip there could be multiple. That's most likely the logic. However, doesn't matter. Alright, so in the tooltip, we're going to use first the title. And the title, we're going to say here function, because the callback must become a function. And in here, we're going to type in the argument chart. This is very important, because without this, you will get errors and it will not work. And then now let's do this first. I'm going to say return, and what I'm going to return here is this is new title. Alright, and the reason why I'm doing that is I want to make sure you see the differences here. As you can see here now, we grab the new title, or basically the text is now, then this is the new title. So it's working nicely. So now next what I want to do here, I'm going to say console.log, and then you say here chart. If I save this now and refresh, open up the console log, and then if we hover over, because it will be triggered only on hover, pay attention here. This is what's going on. When we are in the chart, we need to still go into 0, and then from there on we can get the data index or the data set index. One or the other. So I'm going to show you now exactly what we need to do here, because this was not clear. In Chartjs documentation, it lacks this part as well. All we need to do here is put in is 0. So the moment we put in here 0, then if I save this, we're basically going one level down in here. So if I refresh here now, and I move over, you can see here now, we're immediately here. Let me make sure that you see the difference by putting here again, the console without the 0. Refresh. Alright, you can see here this one is that, alright, and this one is one level above. Why it is not one level above, I cannot say. Most likely it doesn't want to go immediately into the item here, it just needs to grab something here, or it needs to grab this part here, which is somewhere else. I don't know. I cannot find also the reason for that, and maybe I need to ask the officials who are maintaining that, but There's no definition for that. However, ignore that. We already know how to read JavaScript, so that's why 0, and then in here you can grab here now dataset index. So all we do here is basically this dataset index, and also the same one here is for the data index. So if you just copy this, I'm going to put it down here. Alright, semicolons here, although it's not necessary anymore. I see more and more people stop using that. However, doesn't matter. So if I save this now and refresh, you can see the moment I hover over it, we are now hitting the index number. So the first one, it will get the dataset index, which is 0. Why? Because the red is the first dataset, and the first dataset we call index 0. The second dataset is this one here, which is number 1, of course, because this is the second one. And then it starts again with 0y arrays or 0 base counting. So you can see here dataset 1, but data index 0, as you can see here. So if I go here now on this blue one, oh, and you can see as you move many times, it will just re-trigger it because it's on hover. You can see here index 1 or dataset index 1, which is correct, is the blue one, and then number 3, which is also correct because this is 0, 1, 2, 3. Alright, so this is basically here. So what we can do here now is let's put it in here, but what I will do here is I'll make it a bit more neat in drawing it here, a bit more professional coding than what we have here. So I'm going to say here constant, and then I will say here, give it a name, let's say line data set index. Alright, that should maybe not be the right term, but that's alright for now. Maybe or title, it could be as well. Title, doesn't matter. Let's call this title here. That should be better. So we have these. And then we have another one here. Exactly the same, but then we need here the data index. So we say here data index. Data index. Title, data index. And then what we're going to do here, you would say, well, we can just do this plus that. Well, let's do here with template literals. So I'm going to use backticks here. Alright, attention here. Backticks. Backticks are not single quotations. See the difference? Backticks is very close on your keyboard at the escape button. Just below there, if I'm not mistaken. Especially on the Mac. So, what we're going to do here is we're going to just grab this and then we say here, $, curly braces. We get this one, then we can say here, like text, our data set index equals this. Then we say here, and data index equals, well, this is almost similar to this here, $, here to grab the value. And that is far more easier to read. So if I save this now and refresh, you can see here now, look at the title, it shows the data set index is 0 and the data index is 3. That's correct. This one is 1 and that one is 4. That's correct because it's the blue line is data set index 1. Here again, as you can see here, this all works nicely. Alright, that's first one. Let me show you the next one because this is the reason why I'm showing you both, because both are tricky because they're different. They have a different structure. Alright, so the next one is the label. Alright, this is the part of the body what I refer to, and the body consists of the square color plus the value, basically the text, which is this text here, and the number. So I'm going to remove everything. We're going to create our own version very similar to this. So all we have to do here is, well, you say, well, we just need to do this here, function here, and let's see, we have everything correctly. Make sure that there's curly braces. Alright, so let's see, do we have everything here? Nicely done, fair enough. Alright. Am I correct here? Because I have a feeling that I am doing something incorrect, sorry. Curly brace needs to be here. So pay attention here what I did. So this is the title. This is basically the title block. And now we have here the label block. So comma here, if not you will get an error. And if we save this here, refresh, nothing happens yet. Then you can see here now, our label has been blank. Because we're going to create our own label here. Which will be, this is a callback as well. And then we can say here, console. If I do console.log, we can say chart. If I save that here, refresh. It will show you basically the chart. What you can do here immediately as well is the context. That is officially the term. Although it's just same as well. You can see here, there's hardly no difference. The only thing here is the difference is now we don't need the number 0 in the chart here. As you can see here, we get immediately the same response here. I'm going to remove all this and pay attention on this one. Save that, refresh. If I hover over, you can see this one gets immediately the info, and this one we have to break it down first to go to 0, and then we get this data. Want to see the exact same one? All right, let me one more time show you, just to be sure so you understand this, because this is not being explained in the documentation and it's really confusing. All right, go in here. You can see here now this is exactly the same. We're now matching here. Fair enough. You can use context here, but here we're not allowed to use context. It will give you an error. So now here the context, and then in here we're going to do almost the same here basically, because now we have this with the context. We can just get here as well the data set. We don't need to put in chart 0. It would instantly understand it. So if I do this one here now, and I refresh and I hover over, yes, there you are. We are now on the dataset 0, which is correct, and this should be dataset 1. There you are. So now we have it already, so you can figure out already. We just need to duplicate this. If I do here just the data, save, refresh, there you are. It's exactly the same. Why, if you might wonder why, let me just break that down one more time just to make sure so you see that. It's basically here. I'm going to remove this, refresh, look at this here. So this is the context. In the context we show everything is exactly similar to the chart 0. Here, dataset index, and then the data index. And of course you can get the label, the formatted value, etc, etc. You can get everything you want here in Chartjs, the entire dataset. So we have this one now, and all what we want to do now is very similar here. We want to return it, but just in a clean and professional way. So I'm just going to copy this, paste this in here, and instead of the const title, I'll give it label, so it's more well descriptive. Then here we can say this should not be this, no, it should be context. Why context? Because our argument here is context, not content, but context with an X. So these are same here. So if we do this, we can remove all this here now, and here we can say dataset index label. Copy that, copy this, save, refresh. Now there we are. We have everything here. Maybe say, well, wait a minute. What about this square item, the color? Fair enough. Let's remove it. Let's go back here to the tooltip and let's search here. This is probably something with a color box or something like that. Color title, color, the text, color body, the color of the body. No, footer color. Key display colors. All right, that's the one. Sorry. So if true, color boxes are being shown in the tooltip. So I'm just going to remove that one as well. So in case you want to, remember, if you remove it, not in the callback, outside of the callback here, and we say false. Yeah. So if you're wondering why outside the callback, well, very simple. This one here, scroll up here. Where are we in? You can see here where it should be placed in the chart.default, or basically here in the plugins.tooltip. All right, or here options plugins.tooltip. So that's very important. So once we did this, now we have this really completely identical. There we are. Beautiful. So this is basically how you can extract the data set index and the data set and put it in your title, put it in your basically in your label or your body, or you can extract it and get it, put it somewhere else wherever you want. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you enjoy it. And if you enjoy this video, you probably will enjoy this one as well. And if you're interested in Chartjs, check out in the description box the link directing to my Chartjs course where you can learn everything about Chartjs. And finally, of course, make sure you subscribe to my channel.